Shalom. I want to start off by giving our honor, praises, and glory to Yahweh Ba'Hashem Yahweh Shah, Ba'Hashem Rakar Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone who do rule well and teach this truth in honesty and sincerity. And salutations to you brothers around the four corners of the earth that teach this truth in honesty and sincerity as well. Just wanted to get into a lesson on the spiritual powers of Israelite men throughout our history through the power of Yahweh Ba'Hashem Yahweh Shah. It wasn't done on their own. They were just being vessels. They were just vessels being used by the Most High to carry out His will, or to show His power through His people. And this is where they get these Marvel and these comic book heroes, and they grab these stories from the scriptures. And I'm just gonna give a couple scriptures and occurrences of different men that were those vessels. And ultimately, this is what Esau is afraid of. He's not afraid of niggas, Spics, and you Native Americans with guns and weaponry, because that's his blessing. He has the domain over those carnal weapons. He's afraid of us coming back to the laws, statutes, and commandments of the Bible, and the spiritual powers that certain elect men will possess. That's why they pull a Jake over and it's 6-7 cops, Edomites with a badge, and even 2/3 these wicked niggas that didn't join the henchmen for these elite banking families. That brotherhood of wickedness. I'm gonna start off with Moses and Aaron in Exodus the 7th chapter, and I'm gonna start at verse 5. And the Egyptians shall know that I am the Lord when I stretch forth my hand upon Egypt and bring out the children of Israel from among them. And Moses and Aaron did as the Lord commanded them, and so did they. And Moses was 80 years old, and Aaron 83 years old, when they spake unto Pharaoh. And the Lord spake unto Moses and unto Aaron, saying, when Pharaoh shall speak unto you, saying, show a miracle for you, then thou shalt say unto Aaron, take thy rod and cast it before Pharaoh, and it shall become a serpent. So that was an example of a spiritual miracle through Moses and Aaron that the Most High had done through Aaron and Moses. And Moses and Aaron went in unto Pharaoh, and they did so as the Lord had commanded. And Aaron cast down his rod before Pharaoh and before his servants, and it became a serpent. Then Pharaoh also called the wise men and the sorcerers, now the magicians of Egypt. They also did in like manner with their enchantments. For they cast down every man his rod, and they became serpents. But Aaron's rod swallowed up their rods. And the what comes to mind is the king snake. The king snake will eat other rattlesnakes because the venom is not poisonous to that snake. And that just put me in the mind frame of that, a little bit off, subject, but that was a miracle that the Most High done through His men. And I'm gonna jump to the book of Judges dealing with Samson, because Samson also um, was a vessel used to show great might and spiritual power from Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shah, the Lord and His Son. This is the account of Samson, and Samson was a mighty man, and he desired a wife of the Philistine, and his wife was taken um, and given to another, and the Philistines burned his wife and her father, and he basically got revenge of that. But this is going to show the might that the Most High gave Samson. I'm gonna start at verse. This is Judges chapter 15, and I'm gonna start at 14, just for time's sake. And when he came into Lehi, the Philistines shouted against him, and the Spirit of the Lord came mightily upon him, and the cords that were upon his arms became as flax, that he was burnt with fire, and his bands loose from off his hands. And he found a new jawbone of an ass, and put forth his hand and took it, and slew 1,000 men therewith. And Samson said, with the jawbone of an ass, heaps upon heaps, with the jawbone of an ass have I slain 1,000 men. And it came to pass, when he had made an end of speaking, that he cast away the jawbone out of his hand, and called that place Ramath Lahi, that is, the lifting up of the jawbone, or casting away of the jawbone. And he was sore adverse, and called on the Lord, and said, Thou hast given this great deliverance into the hand of thy servant, and now shall I die for thirst, and fall into the hand of the uncircumcised. But God clave an hollow place that was in the jawbone, and there came water thereout. And when he had drunk, his spirit came again, and he revived. Therefore he called the name thereof Hakor, which is in Lehi, unto this day. So that's just an account of just two miracles done in the well, one done for Samuel, and one the Lord used his body as a vessel to bring vengeance and judgment upon the Philistines, and that's where you get these superhero characters from, and certain events that they get out of the scriptures. And I'm gonna jump over to David. David, the king of Israel at a point. Well, I should say one of the righteous kings of Israel, a man after the Most High's heart. This is First Samuel right here, and 17th chapter, and I'm gonna start at verse 45. Then said David to the Philistine, "Thou comest to me with a sword and with a spear and with a shield, but I come to thee in the name of the Lord of hosts, the Lord of armies." And that is Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. "The power of the armies of Israel, whom thou hast defied. This day will the Lord deliver thee into my hand, and I will smite thee, and take thine head from thee, and I will give the carcass of the host of the Philistines this day to the fowls of the air, and to the wild beasts of the earth, that all the earth may know that there is a power in Israel. And all this assembly shall know that the Lord saveth not with sword and spear, for the battle is the Lord's, and he will give you into our hands." And this time in history, the other nations knew our power. They still know about our power, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, which they call him Jehovah, which means God of mischief or wickedness or demon, Al Shadra, demon-like power, because they know of the Lord's judgments. When they come against our people, the Lord would smite at them. Or if we went off, the Lord will give us into their hands. And this is our history. We're more than just niggas, spics, and Native Americans, man. We actually have a real true power that's the greatest power in existence. This is what Esau is afraid of. Verse 48, "And it came to pass when the Philistines arose and came and drew nigh to meet David, that David hasted and ran toward the army to meet the Philistine." And David was a runt. He was like considered a not a big man of stature, but everybody was taller back then, and David he was still be considered tall or in these days, but back then he was small compared to everyone else. And Goliath was about 15 feet. David was 10. So that was small to everybody back then. But look at the power of the Lord. And David, verse 49, David put his hand in his bag and took thence a stone and slang it, smote the Philistine in his forehead, that the stone sunk into his forehead, and he fell upon his face to the earth. So David prevailed over the Philistine with a sling and with a stone, and smote the Philistine and slew him. But there was no sword in the hand of David. Therefore David ran and stood upon the Philistine and took his sword and drew it out of the sheath, therefore, and slew him and cut off his head therewith. And when the Philistines saw their champion was dead, they fled. So you don't have to have carnal weapons and a carnal mind to defeat this devil. This war is spiritual, and that's what Esau is afraid of: spiritual uh, warfare. Actually, the Most High using you as a vessel spiritually to defeat him. He knows the capability of our power. But his job, being a devil, is to trick you out of your position and make you not believe and make you go off. That's his job. And he's done a brilliant job at it. The best devil that there could be. That's his job. So we have to be on our job and align ourselves up with the law, statutes, and commandments of the Most High. That's how we defeat this devil. And jump to Elisha and Elijah. In 1 Kings. This is 1 Kings chapter 18. And I'm going to start at 22. And I'm going to jump around to the point. And then said Elijah unto the people, even I only remain a prophet of the Lord, but Baal's prophet are 450 men. Let them therefore give us 2 bullocks, and let them choose 1 bullock for themselves, and cut it into pieces, and lay it on wood, and put no fire under. And I will dress the other bullock, and lay it in wood, and put no fire under. And call ye on the name of your gods, and I will call on the name of the Lord. And the God that answereth by fire, let him be God. And all the people answered and said, It is well spoken. Verse 26. And they took the bullock which was given them, and they dressed it, and called on the name of Baal from morning even unto noon, saying, O Baal, hear us. But there was no voice, nor any that answered. And they leapt upon the altar which was made. And it came to pass at noon that Elijah mocked them, and said, Cry aloud, for he is a God. For he is a God. Either he is talking, or he is pursuing, or he is in a journey, or peradventure he sleepeth, and must be awaked. So he's mocking them. He's mocking the God of these heathens, man. And they cried aloud and cut themselves after their manner with knives and lancers, till the blood gushed out upon them. I'm going to jump down to verse 31. And Elijah took 12 stones according to the number of the tribes of the sons of Jacob, unto whom the word of the Lord came, saying, Israel shall be thy name. And with the 12 stones he built an altar in the name of the Lord, and he made a trench about the altar as great as would contain 2 measures of seeds. And he did the same thing that the prophets of Baal, made the altar and put the wood. They wet the wood so that it's strictly from the Most High that this fire is consuming this wood up. It's wet, and all around it is wet. Okay. And they did it twice. This is verse 36. And it came to pass at the time of the offering of the evening sacrifice that Elijah the prophet came near and said, Lord, power of Abraham, Isaac, and of Israel, let it be known this day that thou art God in Israel, and that I am thy servant, and that I have done all these things at thy word. Hear me, O Lord, hear me, that this people may know that thou art the Lord power, and that thou hast turned their heart back again. Then, verse 38, then the fire of the Lord fell and consumed the burnt sacrifice, and the wood, and the stone, and the dust, and licked up the water that was in the trench. And when all the people saw it, they fell on their faces, and they said, the Lord, he is the power. The Lord, he is the power. Or he is God. He is the God. And Elijah said unto them, take the prophets of Baal, let not one of them escape. And they took them, and Elijah brought them down to the brook Kishon and slew them there. That was just another example of the Lord giving spiritual power to the men of Israel. And you heard Elijah called on the Lord of Abraham, Isaac, and Israel. Jacob's name was changed to Israel, which meaning his descendants would be Israelites. Not niggers, not Negroes, not Latinos, not Native American, Jamaican, West, none of that. You have to know who your power is and what he requires of you. And there was another story of Elisha, I believe, sick bears on children that was mocking him, and it was pleasing to the Lord because he allowed that bear to rip those children up. Matter of fact, I'll get that. This is 2 Kings chapter 2, and I'm going to start at verse 22. 23, I'm Salakia. And he went up from thence unto Bethel, and as he was going up by the way, there came forth little children out of the city, and mocked him, and said unto him, go up, thou bald head, go up, thou bald head. And he turned back and looked on them, and cursed them in the name of the Lord. And there came forth 2 she-bears out of the wood, and tare 42 children of them. And he went from thence to Mount Carmel, and from thence he turned to Samaria. So mocking the men of the Lord is not a bright move. The Lord will send judgment on you. And for all you scoffers out there that mock the men of the Lord on these highways and byways, the Lord sees you, and he's going to recompense those that trouble the men of the Lord. And I'm going to grab a few accounts of Yahweh Shai, who performed miracles as well. This is Matthew chapter 9, And I'll start at verse 32. As they went out, behold, they brought to him a dumb man possessed with a devil. And when the devil was cast out, the dumb spake, and the multitudes marveled, saying, It was never so seen in Israel. But the Pharisees said, He casteth out the devils through the prince of the devils. And Yahushua went about all the cities and villages, teaching in their synagogues and preaching the gospel of the kingdom, and healing every sickness and every disease among the people. And that's what Yahushua did. He cast he cast out devils, the unclean spirits. He healed the sick, raised the dead, Lazarus, fed the multitude with 2 fish, or with the fish and the loaves of bread. And also what lets you know that the Most High is only for Israel. A Canaanite woman, a Hamite, so-called African woman, came to the Lord asking for her daughter to be healed, and the Lord casted her away and said, He is not come but to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. And that still stands to this day. You other nations do not have any part of this. And all these men with these spiritual powers were Hebrews and Hebrew Israelites. And so with that, I hope this was an edifying lesson. And would like to end it by saying, Call Halal Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shah, Ba'Shem Rakakwadash, and the Bible Ball.